Alright, all you people's champions out there, welcome back to the Indy Radio Arcade. And I almost forgot to mention during that review for that movie, that was actually the first Adam Sandler movie I was able to see in theaters. And probably one of the last ones. I'm not too entirely sure if I saw any of the other ones in theaters, but yeah, that was definitely one of the first ones. But besides my movie accolades, folks, I think it's time for us to go into another edition of the Instant Classic Video Game Review. And the game we have up on the plate is the third game in the Smackdown series, which would be none other than Smackdown, Just Bring It. And, you know, something that's been bugging me for years about the title of the game, the fact that they did for Smackdown 2, Know Your Role, and then immediately jump into Shut Your Mouth, and then Just Bring It? I don't know. It sort of irked me a little bit, but that game would come out years later. But besides all of that, folks, the meat and potatoes of this said game is that you play as insert your name here to fight for championships and also unlock characters as you make your way to the grandest stage of them all of WrestleMania 17 and beyond. And I'm not kidding with that and beyond, folks, because you can also continue the story over and try to capture more championships and do other cool things during it, including the whole betrayal angle of Stone Cold Steve Austin working alongside with Vince McMahon. You can relive that during this story mode. And we might as well kick things off, folks, with what I like about the game. And since you already heard me, really excited about it already, the story mode for this very game, unlike the game prior to it, you get a chance to openly challenge for the championship of your choosing during this said story mode, and you have more control over the story mode than you did in Smackdown Know Your Role. And yeah, despite that, the fact that this story mode was a little bit shorter than the predecessor, not really big of a fan of, but at the same time, the fact that you have control over that, and the fact that you get a chance to see entrances during this, and even have the ring announcer give out your name that you gave your character, whatever custom name that you decide to go with, was another thing that I liked about this game. And another thing that I liked about this game was the different matches that they included and carried over from the original version of SmackDown Know Your Role, including the casket match, and even a chance for you to play a match called Survival, and also the ability for 6-man tag matches. And I think this would be the only game in the history of the SmackDown series to feature 8 people in the ring at once for a Royal Rumble. Which, I know a lot of you out there are saying, oh, big deal, but nowadays, 8 people in one Royal Rumble match was absolutely awesome, and I'm pretty sure that would be the only game to pull it off. You won't see it in any other games until the Switch installment of, I do believe, 2K19 for that game. And unfortunately, with 8 people in the ring on the Switch, yeah, it sort of slows down a lot. And if you want a prime example of that, go watch the New Legacy Inc. Royaliest of Rumbles for that little moment. But besides all that, folks, another thing that I absolutely loved about this game was the soundtrack for this said game, which not only featured the song Rollin', but also featured the disturbed version of Stone Cold Steve Austin's theme of Breaking Glass. And the fact that this would be the last game that would feature that song until, I do believe, 2K13? Or not even, WWE 13 and WWE 14 would be the last times you would hear that song featured in the games. Which is kind of sad, because I really did love that theme that Disturbed came out with for Austin. And besides all that, folks, and speaking of, another song that was featured featured during this game, which was Limp Bizkit's Rollin'. Another thing that I liked about this game was the different characters they had featured during it, and the fact that they had Limp Bizkit, aka Fred Durst, featured in this game as an open character was absolutely crazy. Along with the finisher that he had during it, which was this modified version of a cross-throwing powerbomb. I think it was a modified version of what James Storm did in the ring called Eye of the Storm, but it was the craziest thing I've ever seen when I was a little kid playing as him back in the day. And oh, one more thing we forgot to include what we liked about this game had to have been the weapons included during it, and the fact that you get a chance to go out in the crowd to even get more weapons featured in this game, including a steel chair, a box, a mop, do believe a sledgehammer for Triple H, a pipe, and even cars that you could use backstage to try to take your opponents out with in hardcore matches. Yeah, was another cool thing they added to this game. And with everything that I could possibly remember and like about this game, and there's probably some things I'm missing out there that I know you fans out there are going to tell me about, what didn't I like about this game? Well, the only thing that I didn't like about this game, folks, is the fact that in regular matches you cannot defend championship belts. The only downside I didn't like about this game, and a couple of people would say that the announcers were the bad part about this game, but the fact that they had Michael Cole and Taz in this game, but did not have Jerry the King Lawler, and of course, none other than good old JR calling color commentary for Raw, was a shame. Really wish they would have included them in the game as well, but unfortunately, they did not. And oh, the fact that they called every single move that you would do and have funny moments of commentary that would pause in between, another thing that I liked about the game. I grew to love it. And with everything that I liked and didn't like about this game, what do I think they could do to improve upon this game? Well, for starters, a chance for you to actually defend championships in open matches during this game, and even bring back the concept of create a pay-per-view for you to actually defend the pay-per-view belts on that said pay-per-view. Or, let me rephrase that, a chance for you to actually defend the championships on a custom pay-per-view that you made. And oh, maybe a chance to create your own arena in there as well, and maybe a bigger Hell in a Cell to fight in that does not look like a bread box. Cause we almost forgot to mention that the Hell in a Cell from the previous version of the game still exists in that game, and it was the same size as the ring. And the sucks thing about that is, folks, you can't use the cage pieces to beat the crap out of your opponents in this installment of Hell in a Cell. And not to mention, you can't throw your opponent off the top of the Hell in a Cell unless you do, I do believe, a choke slam or a toss off of it. And they don't even fall through the table. But those are just minor complaints about this awesome game. And seeing the fact that we don't review games along the lines of gold stars, coins, letters, and bricks, we review games in only two ways, folks. Will there be a video game story in the near future for this said game? And do we recommend this game for you, the Smackdown fans at home? Of the wrestling video game variety, that is. And seeing the fact that we really don't do video game stories for wrestling games that often, I don't think we're going to be able to do a DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories for this game. But I will say this, there will be a very special Cue the Horns Maestro, DJ Smokey's Great Moments in Wrestling History. In the near future for this said game. Sorry, we had to do it, folks. We really had to do it, especially for an awesome game like this. we will have a great moment in wrestling history in the near future for it, which will most likely be by either next month as a little bit of a surprise as we make our way closer to 300 episodes, or just as something we do for kicks. Yeah. And I got a feeling it will involve a casket match again with my brother. Those are always fun. And with that said, folks, do I recommend you, the fans at home of the Smackdown variety, pick up this game? Well, if you want to play a game where you get a chance to play as your favorite superstars, or even create your own superstars to go climb up the top of the mountain to try to capture the WWE or any form of championship of your choosing to reign supreme on the grandest stage in them all while you have to watch your back from people that are trying to take you out left, right, front, and even center while you're doing it, then I recommend you go out there and cop that disc. And definitely listen to the funny commentary that comes along with it. And with that said, folks, we might as well head back to this music once again, and when we return, we'll be back with another edition of the Indie Wall of Fame, right after a word from our sponsors. So don't run out of continues just yet, folks, and stay tuned.